A little tired today. I was up too late brooding about life. Today's episode has a theme, actually. There's two themes. One of them is things on toast, because everybody loves things on toast. The other thing is I'm a little bit not flush for cash these days. We're a little bit cassé, balk. So this is kind of a fridge clean out kind of thing. Today we're gonna do, I guess it's in a way, it's kind of a caponata, which is very similar to ratatouille, I guess. Just slap it on toast. It's eggplant, tomato based with onion and roasted red pepper, and then you kind of go with what you have. In my fridge, I have one eggplant. This is, yes, it's still good. I know it looks fugly, but hey, we're all broke. Don't throw food away. So I'm just gonna cut this up into, I'm gonna dice it up and then salt it, olive oil, saute in a pan. Just get it brown on all sides. So we're gonna do that. One of the components of this recipe is like a tomato sauce. It's what you'd use. You're not gonna use all of this, but save whatever you have left to toss with pasta or something. You need like 4 or 5 plum tomatoes. What you do is dice them up, olive oil, medium hot pan, a little bit of salt, and let it cook down. And then you blitz it. I also added a handful of basil, because I happen to have basil in the house, fortunately, because that's one of the flavors I like in caponata. If you happen to have a soft cheese like ricotta and you're doing canapes or something, slice up some baguette, slap on a layer of ricotta and a spoonful of caponata and shove it out. People love you. Another key ingredient to this recipe is roasted red bell pepper or capsicum. If you have a jar of that handy in the fridge, a lot of the times we do, because we buy a jar, eat one, and then leave it to rot. So what I did is I just roasted this on its own hot oven, and then cover it, put it in a bowl, cover it with cling film, so that way the skin peels off easily. Discard the skin. Medium dice the pepper itself and put that to the side for later. Now, eggplant tends to be a sponge, soaks up a lot of olive oil, so I'm gonna add a little more, churning it to the pan. Red onion, diced. I'll need a couple of tablespoons, so finely diced a couple tablespoons worth. Now, when your eggplant has done getting some color, remove the eggplant and put it into a bowl off to the side. Add a little more olive oil to your pan, and then go ahead and add your diced red onion. Just saute it in like a light saute until it gets soft. You don't want a whole lot of color on the onion. Somewhere I've got a wooden spoon, and I have no idea where I put it. I got all my stuff out of storage finally. I'm gonna go search for this wooden spoon, because chopsticks are great and all, but to saute little tiny little dice of things, very difficult. Be back. Found it. Ah, much better. At this point, go ahead and add your roasted red pepper that you've diced up. It's simmering away happily. Let's see what else we can find in the fridge to toss in there. If you happen to have pine nuts, I think that would be more traditional. I do not have pine nuts because hella expensive. So let's see what we've got. There's some garlic here. There's some extra basil I have. I also have a little parsley. What else we got? Ooh, raisins. I had this left over from a recipe I did a while ago. Golden raisins. Yeah, they're still good. We're gonna add some of that. Go ahead and add this straight to the pan. The juices from the vegetables will soak into the raisins themselves. Ooh, anchovies. Now you don't have to have anchovies for this. I just have some in the fridge that I cured myself. Doesn't everybody cure their own anchovies? Been to Market a few weeks back and saw that they had some, so I just brought them home and cleaned them and cured them myself. Anchovies. Lime juice, olive oil, a lot of salt. They're a quick cure, so they're not oil packed. I'm only going to use one. It's not going to taste fishy. It'll bring a savoriness to this dish, like it's another layer of salt that you can't get from salt alone. If you're not an anchovy person, obviously you leave it out. Bye-bye, fishy. So you can grate in some garlic if you want. I'm actually not in the mood for garlic today. At this point, go ahead and re-add your eggplant to the pan. I'm going to turn this on low now. And just any juices that accumulated with the eggplant, toss that in. Show you what this looks like now. Red pepper flakes. Depends on how spicy you want it. I'm putting in, a good pinch. And if you have any red wine vinegar, or more traditionally you would use a sherry vinegar, kind of hard to find here sometimes, so just a good splotch of red wine vinegar. By splotch being a technical term, a couple of teaspoons. I don't know, I'm guesstimating here. Again, this recipe is about balance, sour and sweet, or bitter and sweet. And also at this point, I'm gonna add a couple of tablespoons of that tomato pomodoro sauce. Yum. Now I'm gonna turn it off and let it cool. While it's cooling, I'm gonna chop up whatever herbs I found in the fridge. So I did find a little bit of basil. For this, I'm not using Vietnamese basil. I'm using the Western kind because it's a little sweeter. I also happen to have it. If you can't find this kind of basil, you can use the Vietnamese stuff, of course. And it's just so incredibly potent and strong. It's like a drug. Yum. If you know how to chiffonade basil, you just basically stack them together and then roll them up like you would an old-fashioned cigarette. And finally, pop that in. After it's cooled, give it a good stir, taste it. May need a little more vinegar. It actually may need a little sweetness as well. Maybe your tomatoes weren't as sweet when you made your pomodoro earlier. You can add a little honey, not much, a little sugar. I just thought of something. If you happen to have olives, like a jar of olives in the fridge, you can chop some of those up and put that in as well. So you can, even the bread is a fridge clean out. I had that frozen in the freezer and just popped it in my oven to warm through. There's a little canapé type thing. I am going to take half of this piece of baguette here, slather it with some of this, and go ahead and eat it. Caponata. Things on toast. God, I love bread.